Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today's 28th of October 2016. Happy Halloween out there to everybody, because, if you're like me and you've got, younger kids, under teenage kids, this, of course, would be when you're going to be drug out into the hot and or cold, depending on where you live, to, get your requisite amount of junk food for the next 5 to 10 days. Our trick-or-treating here is actually tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, and then, locally it's sort of spaced out all over the place. So I know how it sort of works. Some places want to do it during the day, some people want to do it on Halloween. So that's, it's that time of year again. Kids went to their party at school today, and they've got their costumes with them, so it's been a lot of 5-year-old and 3-year-old, excitement. So good for them. For the rest of us who'd rather just not freeze, because here it's been not really cold. It's been in the 50s, but compared to the humidity that we had all summer, I know a lot of you guys are in the Midwest and in a block of land between, say, Chicago, northern Tennessee up into towards New York City. All of us can explain exactly how awfully humid it was this summer, which made it feel a lot hotter than it actually was. Now it's the exact opposite, where it's been really really dreary the last several days. It's rained overnight the last couple of days, and it's just been cold and wet, and we're supposed to warm up the beginning of next week into the 60s again. So, heat wave. So beyond that, of course, we all know that last week I was sort of plowing through the video. I know I could hear it in my voice as far as the congestion and not goodness going on there. And pretty much by the end of the day, I was feeling like complete and utter crap. The next day, a Mack truck, basically, of sickness hit my wife. And we both, wound up having strep throat, and not sure exactly which one of the filthy, evil, dirty children brought that home, but be that as it may, it's been a week of antibiotics and whatnot, and at least from here up, I'm feeling halfway decent, because Monday I was taking my son to school, and I stepped on like half of our sidewalk, meaning that the other half of it was the dirt, and I rolled my ankle and ended up falling down. Uh, just having my ankle be swollen for about the last 3 or 4 days. Finally, today I can walk on it without wincing. Didn't break it or nothing like that, but sprained it really good. So from the last time you saw me till now, it's been quite the few days. But all that is behind us now, and we are going to focus, of course, on the automotive model car hobby. So we have a few new kits to talk about as far as announcements go, and they're not really even new kits, but they're new announcements. We got a few teasers for some stuff that'll be coming up here shortly, and then of course the kit releases for the week. So on the new kit announcement front, and these aren't really, like I said, new kits, but it popped up this morning over on the Japan vendors. So I went back and checked here in the United States, and sure enough, it's on Tower Hobbies as well. Revell of Germany has a tendency to do this every year, so it's not a surprise. But they'll push out a few things that were not announced at the beginning of the year on New Year's Day when they do their big announcement for the entire year. They'll push out a few things into the fourth quarter to sort of plug holes in releases, because while the automotive releases for 2016 have not yet come out and will not come out for the next couple of months, November and December and into January, I was going to sneeze. They're pushing a few things out to sort of fill in the gaps. And the one thing that on the automotive side that they're going to be releasing is a police version of their 1968 Volkswagen Beetle kit. I did some, background digging just to make sure, because there is another Beetle kit that's, I think, 125th scale that Revell did. I want to make sure that that was not the, what they were doing, packaging the old, really, that's a cruddy kit in comparison to other things. It may have been at the time, sort of what you had to deal with, but between the Hasegawa curbside, the Tamiya full detail kit, and of course the Revell of Germany full detail kit, which was released only to us here, only in a Revell USA boxing. All three of those are superior kits, and really the Tamiya and Revell kit are pretty much even as far as accuracy and building. Of course, the Revell kit is a German spec Beetle, and I know a lot of people have had a problem with that, because they're throwing themselves around that Revell did not convert it into a U.S. spec car before they reboxed it, but they've never done that. So I don't know why people thought that was going to happen. But be that as it may, picture over here. of the what they're just showing as being the advertisement for the car at the moment. So it'll be another green and white German police vehicle. It's not really on the list of things I'm particularly interested in because I still have my Revell Beetle and I have a Tamiya one as well. I don't have a Hasegawa one because the Tamiya one and the Hasegawa are the same year, so to me there's no point. But for those people who are interested in that sort of thing in the light commercial sense, that will be coming out in December. Also in December, my notes are down over the side here, so that's why I keep looking. Down also in November, and we'll throw a picture of this up too because no one will know what I was talking about, is going to be an exclusive through Auto World, and I will put a link to it in the description. They're going to be running off 500 copies of the AMT Streetle Beetle kit. What that is basically the chassis and engine and whatnot out of the Meyer Manx Dune Buggy and a converted, chopped up, because it's shrunk to fit that chassis because the chassis for an actual Beetle is much longer. Volkswagen Beetle with the front end off of a 1940 Ford. I believe also the back end is changed to 1940 Ford as well. They're going to be printing up new decals for this for the wood grain sides that the kit has always had. It's an old kit. Obviously, it's not a real Volkswagen Beetle because, like I said, shrunk down and modified, so you cannot take that body and put it on an actual Beetle chassis, for example. There was also another kit based on that kit on a Volkswagen Beetle, customized Volkswagen Beetle, shrunk on a Meyer Manx frame, and that will be reissued in 2017. We'll talk more about that when that time comes because, of course, AMT really doesn't have what I consider to be a viable release schedule until the kits go on to Auto World and you can see what's coming out for the next 30 to 60 days. Because if I say, well, this is going to come out in February 2017, well, it may not come out until 2018. It might come out next week. Who knows? Because they're, like I said, round 2 does not conform to a release schedule the way that Revell does or any of the foreign kit manufacturers do. It's somewhat like Mobius, where they just do whatever they want to. Stuff gets shipped, and when it gets here, they sell it, and that's sort of the way it goes. Which, nothing wrong with that, but it makes, for people like me who are trying to give you month-by-month information, it makes it a little hard for me to be able to look into. I have a list of the first quarter of 2017 AMT MPC releases, but I'm not comfortable enough telling you what they are because I don't believe that a third of them will even show up in the first quarter of 2017. So that's why we always tell you what they are on the monthly recap videos. Watch there if you're interested in the monthly round 2 stuff, because otherwise it's just a little too sketchy. This I'm putting out there because it has a December release date. You can pre-order it at Auto World store, and it's the only place you can get this will be the Auto World store unless you buy it on eBay, and I guarantee you the price will be much higher than the, I believe, $24.95 that it is on Auto World. The key thing to remember is they're only running off 500 copies. Which sounds like a lot until you figure that there are 500 members on a good-sized internet forum, and if they all decide they want one, you're out. So again, the link is in the description. Kits will come out December. Pre-orderable now, which is the only reason we're bringing it up. A couple of teasers. Ooh, teasers. For some stuff that will be coming out, and that is BMX released this photo today, which is obviously the M3, and it's got 2 different style grills here. One of them is red on the built kit, or the semi-built kit, I guess I should say, and then the black and silver, black and chrome version that you see sitting beside it, along with all the chrome tree parts. I think this is the first time we've actually seen the chrome tree be chrome, so that's just sort of showing that off. That kit will be coming out here probably in about 3 weeks, according to the release dates I have for it. One thing if someone has already noticed and pointed out to me is, well, the lower bumper openings aren't open on this one. Why aren't they molded open? Blah, blah, blah. And so here's some pictures showing a couple different race versions of the car, including one with a red grill in it to prove that really does exist. And you can see that it's a race based thing. Depending on what race it was and whether you're looking for airflow or downforce or and those type of things, it's sort of like the NASCAR grill taping. If you want to build a NASCAR kit, none of those kits came with their grill openings taped shut. Basically, not all of them were molded open. A lot of them were decals and stuff like that. But uh, you know but if you went to a super speedway, you were not looking. You're looking for airflow and downforce. If you're going to a short track, you want less air, more brake. Your brake vents are open rather than the hood vents. Not a lot of brake vents on super speedway cars because you're not using the brakes a lot there. And then sort of the whole similar situation of how cold and warm is it? Do you want more or less grill taped off? So the same thing with this M3. Those were its radiator openings or its oil cooler openings and brake openings. And so depending on where you wanted it, where you're racing, what you were doing with it, you had different vents open. And I personally believe it's nice that they are flashed over. They appear to be very, very thin flashing based on the fact that one of them is already sort of broken open on that photo. And it gives you the opportunity to actually make the car race spec to a specific race rather than it just being open. There'd be some situations where the car, the decals with these cars that are going to come out are going to be specific to races, especially the Gia race of Macau stuff. If you want to build it specific to a race, it's a lot easier to open up an opening than it is to close that opening back up and have it look like it's, uh, never been opened in the first place. Let's put it that way. Man, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. All right, so let's talk about the actual kit releases. I did not sneeze, but I had to take a drink of water. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Everything is overseas, obviously, because the domestic stuff is out. Oh, and one last tease that I forgot about while I was getting all clogged up there is this. This is a 3D drawing, 3D rendering of the Z28 that is going to be coming out of Playmos. They are going to be making a resin trans kit. We've talked about this way in the past at this point. For the 2010 Camaro SS kit that Revell put out to convert it into a 2014 Camaro Z28. And so you're seeing here, so like I said, some of the 3D detailing, 3D drawing. They actually got some measurements from a guy here in the United States for his front bumper to make sure that it's as correct as they can make it within their confines of what they're doing. There's also, of course, going to be that conversion to make the Revell's Challenger into a Hellcat Challenger, I believe a 2013. So those are still pending and coming probably towards Christmas maybe. I know there's talking about this kit still being at least two maybe 3 months out. So I know they wanted to have the stuff out by the summer, but it is what it is. I considering the expense of their kits and how accurate the conversion for the 13 GT500 Shelby was, and the sort of club spec version of the Miata, as well as that RF conversion with the retractable hardtop that the modeling channel just did a whole build-up series on. I'm perfectly more than willing to wait, both financially, because I have a whole bunch of course, race car kits to be getting in here at the end of the year, as well as just being as accurate as possible for that money. So anyway, like I said, it's just fun to look at and dream about. It'll be the only version of that car available because of course AMT's kit is a 2016 and it is the new body style on the new chassis, and so this will be the only kit out there that will be that slightly modified Camaro that they did in 2014, 2015 before the new body style came out this year. And that will take us on to kit releases. One from Hasegawa to talk about here. This was supposed to come out a couple months ago with some other reissues, but just came out this week. And that is the Subaru 360 Deluxe. The Subaru 360 was Subaru's first mass-produced automobile. It is obviously heavily cribbed upon the Volkswagen Beetle. It was designed to be the Japanese people's car, if you will. And so not only does it look like a Beetle, it pretty much is a Japanese version of a Beetle. The engine is in the rear and all of that sort of things. It is a curbside kit. there's another one of these available for the Young SS version, which is the sporty version of this car, if there was such a thing. That one's actually still in the catalog and available if you were interested. This one has finally been reissued after going out of stock at most places. So that's great to have back, just because if you're into historic Japanese cars, which was a thing to sort of hard, it was hard to be into because there weren't that many, and then you got a spate of them recently with the Honda 360, N360, and the S600. Conversion from Tamiya last year, and the Toyota AA from Tamiya last year, to make we're getting a little bit of more history from the Japanese manufacturers, and you can now build the first Toyota, the first Subaru, and the first Honda. So, it's not Model A kind of stuff, but it is the first stuff for them, which for the most part was all post World War II when they started doing their mass-produced vehicles. And then everything else, I believe, let me take a peek here real quick. Yep, everything else is from Aoshima. These are all reboxes into the new Tune Car and um, Model Car series. So the Tune Car stuff first, because it's the quickest to go through. This is a reissue of the Valine Japan Crown Majesta, 2004 Toyota Crown Majesta. It's a VIP car, just a rebox of the existing kit. This is already something that was out there. Just like I said, being reboxed into this new series. Like we talked about before, these new kits do have window masks in them if they didn't already, to paint the black window surrounds. Next up on the Tune model car is the Vertex FD3S RX7. Again, reissue of an existing kit in new box art. And then on the model car side of things, and these are always going to be factory stock kind of things, and that's going to be the 1990 Toyota Century, what they call the L-Type, or the limousine type. This is kind of a cool car in Japanese culture, in the sense that it is the big full-size Toyota. They've updated it since this kit, but pretty much for almost 40 years, I want to say. From the time it was introduced until the redo in the mid-2000s, the car looked pretty much identical to this. I don't know why they picked the 89 as being the year they decided to model exactly, but it is what it is. The only thing that's really changed over the years has been going from bulb headlights to halogens, and the wheels and tires have changed, and the mirrors are new to meet safety specs. But pretty much the Century that you're seeing there is pretty much the same one they started making back in the late 1960s, and beyond that, it is the official car of Japan, in the sense that the Emperor of Japan and his family have them. The Prime Minister and all of the high members of the Japanese government drive in them. And, you got to have the buku bucks as a businessman or private citizen to have one, because these cars are V12 powered. Yeah, you can't even get that engine in anything else, right? They're very long, very big, and of course, if you know your Japanese tax laws, if you have any interest in Japanese cars, the bigger the car, the heavier the car, the more powerful the car, the more you pay in taxes for the car. So this is very much a status symbol, and the Japanese royal family's car actually has curtains made out of rice paper and stuff. It's all very interesting if you're interested in boring four-door cars. So I'll leave you to decide what's interesting and what's not. Reissue of the Toyota Hilux quad cab pickup truck. This is the regular factory stock version. It does come with these giant off-road decals for the doors, should you choose to use them. It'd be great to see. It would be great if there was some 1/24 scale weaponry out there that was appropriate to make this into a tactical. I've seen a few people make them into tacticals. Those sort of North Africa, Middle East gunship cars that they use. Out of using various weaponry that's not really accurate, or not currently used, or various other horrible versions of them that I've seen done. I haven't really seen too many good ones done. Who is it? I think it's Meng. Yeah, Meng makes a 1/35 scale version of this kit. It's not the same kit by any means. It's obviously their own kit that is a tactical. So like I said, somebody make a good 1/24 scale 50 cal or something like that would be great. Over to the next one here. It's going to be the 1985 Toyota 86 Levin Corolla, which, as you see here, has the composite headlights rather than the flip-up headlights that are on the Truno Corolla. This kit is effectively the same kit as the Truno Corolla, except for obviously the different front end treatment. It still has the engine in it. This is actually, like I said, a reissue of a kit that's been out for a while that you could have already bought, but it's being reboxed here. And last but not least is the Daihatsu Copen. This is kind of interesting because it was, just billed as being the Ultimate Edition version, which is like a trim level of the Copen. And it turns out this is actually a 3-in-1 kit that you can build either the active top. Really, it's 4-in-1. But you can build the active top version. You can build the Ultimate Edition 2, which is the second Ultimate Edition, which is why I bought the kit, because just a couple of little things that are different there. And you could also build this as the 10th anniversary version. And it comes with the left-hand drive, left-hand wiper stuff to build the export version. So it's really a 4-in-1, although obviously the 10th anniversary, the Ultimate Edition 2, and the Active Top were all available to like Germany, Southeast Asia, and a few other countries where they drive on the, American side of the road, if you will. And so they were left-hand drive cars. So, but the reason I say 4-in-1 is the fact that the export version was a separate kit at one point in time as well. The left-hand drive stuff has been thrown in the last few Copen kits because they just ungated it and now it's in everything. But like I said, it's cool because, like I said, you build it one of actually 4 different ways, or at least 3 different ways. There's 3 sets of seats, I believe 2 or 3 sets of wheels, a couple of different other things. I know there's 2 grills in there and stuff like that to make all of the versions accurate. So if you are interested in these little Copens, and the Copen kit's about this big or so. It's one of the ABCs, the Suzuki Cappuccino, the Honda Beat, and the Copen. It's a cool little Japanese car, and it builds into actually quite a nice little kit as well. And that takes us over, lastly, before we leave the announcements here or the news rather, to the 4 sets of wheels that are in the new Tune Parts edition. And these are all VIP 19-inch wheels, and they are the Work Gnosis GS2s, the Work Meister S1Rs, as well as the VIP Modular VXS110 and the VIP VXS210, which to me looks like a shower head. But, I'm, me, guys, I'm not really into the VIP stuff to begin with. I like my bland Japanese sedans to be bland Japanese sedans. And before we go, I almost forgot. A reissue also this week was the reissue of the Tamiya Land Cruiser VX80. This is just, of course, the factory stock version. It does, though, come with left-hand drive parts and left-hand drive wipers and everything like that. So you can build an export spec, North American spec-ish, because technically the export spec is European, but you can build a North American-ish spec Land Cruiser. It's not the sports option kit, which I know a lot of people would rather have for all of the various options, like the big front bumper and the roof rack and the bigger tires and stuff like that. But this kit has sold out in Japan, so that's why it's getting reissued. Now, on to the last part of this video, which, if you aren't interested in me complaining about Revell stuff, you can go ahead and just go. If you are interested in accurate model kits and you cannot, if you can find why we're doing this once again, yes, we're doing this once again. So the most recent kit to come out of Revell, of course, is the 1971 to 1973 Ford Bronco. A kit I was actually really looking forward to, and a kit I will still go buy anyway because it's still something I'm interested in. But now that it's been out there for a few weeks and people have had a chance to actually get a chance to really look at the parts, and people who own Broncos or have owned Broncos have had a chance to look at this, of course, once again, we are finding ourselves stuck in the midst of another plague of why are we talking about this again? So, let's take a look at a couple of issues that the Revell kit has, and actually brought pictures along because, frankly, me talking about them just isn't quite as impactful as the pictures go. We have, of course, the big elephant in the room. We'll talk about that last, that being the wheels. And that's sort of one of those things that we're going to talk about on every Revell release, except these ones are ridiculous. The kit itself has 2 main problems, and they're kind of hard to show you because in pictures, the 3-dimensionality of the part sort of loses its context. One of them is not so hard. The problem one is the grill. The grill on a real Bronco, huzzah, is sort of concaved out in like both directions. It goes out from the headlights, left to right, and it also comes out top to bottom. So the Ford logo and the is stuck out, past everything. It's not a great big issue, or not a great big issue, not a great big curve. It's like I said, it's not very prominent in pictures, depending on how you are looking at the vehicle, and I don't actually have a kit picture for this, but the grill that Revell has made is perfectly piss on a plate flat. It is molded open, which is very nice in the sense that molding it closed would require a great deal of highlight painting or shading painting. What am I looking for? I can't think of it. Wash, great deal of wash painting to get all those little slots painted black. So it is great that it's molded open, but it doesn't have any curvature whatsoever. You could wrap it with sandpaper and use it for a sanding stick. It is perfectly flat. A lot of people will say, well, based on the picture you just showed, I can't tell that it's curved out anyway. And I think that's what Revell's sort of counting on. You can't tell in the picture, so why not just save a couple of bucks of actual molding technology and just make it flat? The other problem is, and it's very obvious on this later Blazer that has the rear fender flares, is that you can see in this picture from the door to the bottom, the body has a curve to it, especially prominent from, say, the mid belt line, or where the flares are starting, to the bottom. There, the body is rolled, right? You agree with me that the body has a roll to it especially from the doors down. It's probably maybe an inch, 2-3 inches of in. Yeah, well, because here's the body of the kit. Again, this would be fantastic if you wanted to, I don't know, wrap it in sandpaper and block sand something in your house, like a hole in the wall your wife's been complaining about. Because this body, for the exception of the very back, which you notice hooks in rather than just sort of gently curves in, is a great big rectangle without really too much of any definition whatsoever. Now, somebody has already brought up on another forum that it's missing the mold lines on the front and the back that the real truck have. They are there in reality. You just can't see them in this picture because it's white and it's been overbalanced by a flash. They are there, but beyond that, other than the little a weird belt line treatment they've given the body in the sense of that curve that's there at the top, which if you look at an actual Bronco, really isn't sticking out like that. I mean, it sort of sticks out as a trim piece on this brown one. But again, if you look at the green one, it doesn't have the trim, and therefore it's a curvature. You're sort of limiting your options, what you can do with it when you mold the trim in like that. Either it's not correct and they use the trim to define the body line, which is, again, not what it's really there for. The body line itself is a curve with the trim applied over top of it, or it's wrong and they molded that inverse backwards. Again, I'm not sure which is the problem there, but you can definitely tell that the actual sides where the doors are straight up and down on a parallel. They do not have any curvature to them at all. All right. Oh, the decals are also botched. The front decals, they give you the decals to sort of make that white striping that goes along the bottom of both that you saw in all of those. Yeah, from the front fender to the front bumper, that thing goes up in the air like on a 45-degree angle rather than being straight. And you could probably chop it apart and put it back together again. But it's 2016, and it's decals, and we're drawing decals, and I'm assuming we're drawing the decals based on the real vehicles, and not just some imaginary shit. So let's talk about the tires. Yeah, the tires here. Yeah, these tires. Whew, and this is great because Bob Downey did this comparison. God bless Bob. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. Met him, and I've known him on a bunch of forums, and I met him this past March in Columbus at a model show, and he's just as nice in person and humble in person as he is online. He got this kit because he's going to be building the review version for Scale Auto, and he was just appalled at the wheels in this kit and decided to give you this comparison because he was trying to find something that would look a little more realistic. In reality, Broncos have 15-inch wheels from the factory. That is what they came with. What Revell has presented you with is a 13-inch wheel, which probably has something to do with the fact that they never actually measure the wheel flange part of the outside of the wheel. They always measure it from like what you can see inside the wheel. The real big issue with this is, of course, that what they're giving you in the kit, if you don't have a kit already, is they're giving you a steel wheel with a hubcap that inserts into the steel wheel, which makes the hubcap about a 12-inch hubcap because it has to fit inside the steel wheel, which makes these wheels look ridiculously small. And so what he's done is dug through a bunch of his parts kit, and he found that the wheels out of the AMT Ford Ranger from 1997, I believe. It's the STX version. Those are 15-inch wheels, as it turns out. So here's the picture right here. This is the comparison. The left wheel is obviously the wheel out of the current Ranger kit, though the old Ranger kit, because those aren't in production anymore. And that little lifesaver thing and that tire over there. And believe me, the tires are way wrong, as it turns out. I thought they were wrong, and they are completely, totally incorrect for a factory stock Bronco. Which, of course, shows you where the next version is going. It's going to be an off-road version. We promise you that one. But, yeah, look how ridiculously small those wheels, the steel wheel is, and that giant tire. It looks like I don't know, a weird Rolo, maybe. It's the most inconvenient Oreo ever. Haha, you can't take out the middle center. But yes, that is what the stock wheels look in the off-road tires that they decided to do. You can see how much better a 15-inch wheel looks in those off-road tires. And guys, guess what? There's nothing you can do about that, because for all the people I've heard come up with crazy cockamamie ideas to fix all of the various issues. Well, just cut up the decals, put them back together the right way, or you just thin down the plastic on the body and roll it underneath with some heat, or take some plastic on the back of the grill and gently push the grill out. All this stupid poop, I'm censoring myself, that you have to do to a brand new 2016 tooled kit that you shouldn't have to, because holy mother of God, it's 2016. You can't fix the wheels. There's no way to fix the wheels. Now you have to go buy other wheels or source some wheels out of your parts department if you happen to have a parts department. For the casual weekend builder, I'm sure they probably won't care. And for the Revell defenders, well, they're just so damn happy to have a Bronco, they couldn't give two flips if the tires were on fire and they were the size of a Daihatsu's wheels. But I don't understand. How are we, again, having this conversation about all of the things that Revell has botched on a model kit? I just don't understand this. It boggles my mind. It really does, because it's like, even on the stuff that they did right, they're doing stuff wrong. I refer you to the interior of the 1934 that's molded in relief, where everything that's sticking out should be molded in relief, and everything that's in relief should be molded out. Even with the good kits that they make, they're effing things up in ridiculous mistakes. And you'd expect the Revell wheels to be too small. That's what they do. They can't size a wheel to save their lives. If the building was going to, if there was, you remember Die Hard with a Vengeance, the one in New York City with Samuel L. Jackson, or better known as the best of the Die Hard sequels other than the original? Remember that when they sent the guys off to take the bombs out of the schools, and they had to get the bombs, and it turned out that they were full pancake syrup because these guys weren't monsters like that? This is similar to that. If there was a bomb in Revell and they had to try to disengage it by measuring a wheel and molding it correctly, they'd be covered in syrup. We'd be having a pancake breakfast in the middle of the warehouse, because for the life of them, they can't do this. This plagues Revell of Germany as well. I don't know what it is about American kit manufacturers where they can't size a wheel, but I mean, when is this shit gonna stop? I mean, is there nothing Revell can do to make you stop buying their model kits? I mean, I saw somebody the other day basically say that Revell would have to kill your grandmother and kick your dog before you'd even consider stop buying their models. And it's like a relative thing. I get for the casual builder, they don't care. And for that unfortunate reason, this stuff will just continue, because Revell believes that the majority of their sale is to people who don't care. And maybe it is. As evidenced by the people who will defend them despite the problems. The herpes break thing on the C7, still seen as not that big a deal. Who cares? It's, nobody's going to see it. I've heard that comment several times with wheels that are molded at big 5 spokes that show off the brakes. I mean, they show off the brakes that no one will ever notice the brakes are on. Personally, I think the people at Revell should have things welded to their brakes that stand up above the rotor, and let them drive their cars around like that for a week and see if maybe they can figure this out. because one of the big rumors that's out there about the whole 29 and 34 tooling being damaged, and it's sort of which one is damaged. Well, it's all damaged because remember, the 29 and 30, they're essentially the same kit with different inserts being put into them. The reason why those two kits are out, yes, it's come forward now that, through a bunch of different versions of internet telephone about what was happening with this tooling. It was stolen, it was maliciously damaged, it was not maliciously damaged. It is damaged. That's why the kit isn't out there. I didn't want to say anything about it on, any of the videos until I had something what I believe was a reasonable explanation for it. But Revell will still not admit publicly that anything is wrong. Several people who don't have any sort of insights to anybody who knows people at Revell have emailed Revell demanding an explanation as to what is going on because, of course, eBay prices, they've gone through the roof because the internet game of telephone has said that the tooling is destroyed and it'll never come back, which is a lie. It's being fixed. But even in those pleading emails, can you please tell me what's going on with these things? The answer they're getting back is we can't talk about it, but when the kit comes back, we'll let you know. Which is something has happened to the tooling that they have probably a legal issue with, because that's sort of that commenting, no commenting kind of thing. And obviously the part where it's going to come back means they're going to fix it. But Revell will still not even just say, look, something happened to the tool. We can't talk about what happened to the tool, but for legal reasons. But they've never said that publicly. They've never come out in any social media platform or anything like that. They've just emails that I've seen or been forwarded from various people saying, well, here's what Revell's answer was, which is not an answer. Just, we can't talk about it, but we'll let you know. Obviously, something has happened. Just tell people, hey, some shit happened, and yeah, we'll get back with you. We're just going to be upfront with you. Something happened. Let the speculation go from there because, it will. But they clearly don't care, first of all. But they don't respect their customers enough to even tell you, hey, this kit's coming. Some stuff happened. We can't talk about it, but this kit is coming back. So don't go out there on eBay and pay $70 for one of those model kits because people are saying that the tooling has been destroyed and it's never going to come back. Because I know people are, because people are selling them for at a ridiculously high price. I mean, if anybody wants my 34 for $100, contact me. I'll be more than happy to take your $100. And I'll feel slightly guilty, but not all that guilty, because clearly you're just crazy. But, guys, don't fall for the crazy rumor mill. And Revell could put the crazy rumor mill to bed by just coming out publicly and saying, yep, something happened, and yep, we're fixing it, and that would immediately kill the eBay and the scalpers, because people would know from Revell it's going to come back, and we can just wait until it comes back and build the other 500 model kits we already have. But one of the rumors, where we're going with, one of the rumors was that the tooling was maliciously damaged because Revell was moving to a new vendor. And if that part was true, that it was maliciously damaged because they were moving, the problem with that rumor is that they've already moved, like a year and a quarter ago or so. About a year, almost not quite a year and a half ago, but almost a year ago, Revell already did move from one vendor to another. The vendor who had been doing their stuff in China pretty much the whole time since they moved to China, they got tired of dealing with them for whatever reason, and they moved over to a new vendor. The reasons were the LX Mustang's roof and the weird fender flares on the Hemi Cuda and the whole tire back-end grill mistake with the 67 Camaro. Going to move to a new vendor. This is going to take care of the issues. Clearly, it hasn't even begun to take care of any of the issues, because the same sort of goofy stuff, things being flat that shouldn't be, things that are shaped wrong that shouldn't be, and all this other stuff. Because remember, they had help from a guy who runs a Bronco website and graveyard to get every measurement they needed. Out of Michigan, it was around the bottom of the lake. It was maybe an hour and a half's worth of drive. So, they had access to this stuff. It's not like they were, just going by pictures. And they still goofed it all the heck. And the question I have for everybody out there, if you're sitting there thinking about, well, it's just China, 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 this is sort of like, that crazy girl that blames everything on her boyfriends. And eventually you start wondering, maybe if it's not the crazy girl's problem. Because if we've been now into our third molding facility, remember, the tooling has been destroyed because they moved. That means the stuff that is coming over the fourth quarter is stuff coming out of the new facility, because the tooling got damaged a couple months ago now. And it's still coming out all goofed up. How many molding facilities can you move into where people don't know how to read CAD plans? Or is the problem really the design team here in the United States botching things in the CAD and sending garbage over to China and garbage in, garbage out. This old computer term from way back when. You program the computer with garbage, and you're going to get garbage back out as a result. And this is pretty much probably what is, and you understand the molding, the molding way molding facilities work when you're contracting to them, right? Is the fact that everybody in Elk Grove Village, or everybody, the guys in Elk Grove Village that design the kits are making computer files, and they're sending these computer files to China, which then picks the CAD designs, puts them into a CNC milling machine, and boom, whatever those CAD designs say comes out in the mold. Okay, it's not one of those up to interpretation sort of things. Every now and then you'll see goofy stuff happen in refinement, where they go back in for a second test shot. Can you fix this? Can you fix that? And they decide to fix a few other things that weren't broken in the first place. But that seems to be, the exception rather than the rule. We've seen it happen with goofy things with Mobius, where the scripting was taken off the Ventura's grill in the third round test shots. Why, nobody knows, but it was. I'm sorry, it's getting to the point now where since 2012, Revell has been in this weird sort of barrel rolling tailspin. It's not been straight down because there's been a few things come out that have been, okay. The 57 convertible, once they fixed the missing X-brace, problem, that ended up being a good kit. The 29 and 30 Fords, even despite the reverse molded bomber interior, both pretty good kits. Let's see, what else am I trying to think of that was in there? The old, what do they call it? End up calling that dragster because they couldn't call it the Sizzler anymore because that's the restaurant chain. Whatever that, I can't. It was like the, can't think of what it is, guys. You know what I'm talking about. The one that had a couple of different body, versions to it, and it was a rail dragster that was the Sizzler back in the day, and they reissued it in 1/25th scale rather than the old 1/24 scale. That was a pretty good kit as well for what it was. I mean, I'm not in a drag car, so it doesn't turn my crank, but from what I understand from people who do have it, it's a really good kit. So they've managed to get a few hits in there with all these bumps, but guys, for as tired of you guys are of hearing me complain about this stuff, I'm tired of talking about this. This is like the argument I have with my children. When they get all uppity and they're like, "We're tired of you talking to us." I'm tired of talking to you. Why can't they just do what they're supposed to be doing, which is make an accurate replica in 1/25th scale of something that exists in real life? It's not like they're making this stuff up. It's not like Aoshima, Fujimi, Hasegawa to a certain extent, making these magical, mythical, boats and planes and egg planes and all this weird stuff that is anime and manga based that doesn't exist in real life, so you're sort of just making things up from drawings. And then you get an argument, well, does this represent the drawing? It's not a drawing. It's a real live God thing, I I don't know. I apologize for ranting, but it's just where I'm at today with this. I can't do this Revell stuff anymore. I don't understand why it is that nothing they do seems to be without an issue, an error of more than one way. I mean, it always seems to be every kit has like 3 to 4 issues, ranging from in your face to not so bad. C7 breaks in your face. Then you have the weird chassis that doesn't have a suspension, and then you have the black on the outside of the windows, and then you have the decals being the wrong year, and the carbon fiber looking like ass. This is the tires are incredibly too small. I had one person tell me that is, several years my elder and has been building Revell kits their entire life, that these may be the most undersized wheels ever created by Revell. And that's saying something. Why is it now 50, 60 years into Revell's being that they are reaching these type of new lows? But tires, and then you have body, you have the rocker panels, and then you have the grill, and then you have the decals. Anyway, guys, see you on the other side.